tomorrow, or by the end of tomorrow, we will know who the Cycle 4 champions will be. Will it be Sync Esports for 4 straight cycles, or will one of these 3 other teams possibly take the reins and claim a title for themselves here as far as the cycles are concerned? With that said, you look at the brackets on your screen. This is what we're dealing with. We've got a losers bracket matchup here. Dawn versus Night Raid. We'll get even more into that as this cast goes on, definitely. But that's the matchup, obviously, here. And then later on today will be Sync Geek Gaming. We are getting a little bit later of a start today. With that said, go with the players. What needed the delay here. So that's why we're starting an hour late. Do apologize for that. But we are finally here. And I know the anticipation has been killing you all, including my co-caster here, Mini Maggot. How's it going, man?
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to this game. The hour nearly killed me. I just couldn't wait any longer. But I'm finally here, which is good to see. And 2 teams that actually haven't faced each other before, actually, it's quite interesting to note. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to sort of match out in this series break. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Yeah,
here we are dealing with, obviously, Dawn and Night Raid. Now, these 2 teams in general, overall, fairly newer to this top-tier competitive play. The fact that both of these teams, let alone even one of these teams, is in the top 4 right now is pretty surprising, to be frank. I mean, obviously, Night Raid's run, again, going back to the brackets here real quickly, they had to defeat, they got knocked out in the second round of the winners bracket. They actually defeated Nullstone Gaming, their U.S. counterparts, before getting knocked out by Sync. But then they actually took out Willowkeeper, as we casted, of course, last weekend, 2-1 to get to this point. Dawn's wasn't a much easier road either. They actually went through Willowkeeper initially. They then lost to BMG, were on the verge of even taking that series even, and then they went on to defeat that Nullstone Gaming to get here. So, again, it was not an easy journey for either one of these 2 teams. And the fact that both of them are here, pretty crazy in the first place. But I got to say, I'm excited for this matchup. It's, as you pointed out, as Quincy's talking about there, this is a new matchup in general. And this finally gives us a little more time to look at this Night Raid team especially. And, I mean, the fact that we got Cookies back in the competitive scene, I think is something we need to really start pushing here and talking about a little bit more. Because, again, this is a player that, he's had some proud history as far as the competitive HON scene goes, being from the American scene especially. And he kind of just snuck back in without much attention going at it.
Yeah, a ninja.
Sneaky guy he is. But it's good to see him back especially.
Yeah, man. Obviously, like a great player back in HON. So it's not surprising, though, all these sort of old legend players are coming back to play HON. Obviously, you had like Tankfet and Haxtra and obviously Cookies now as well. And there's a lot of money. We talked about it time and time again, but it makes sense. I mean, if there's money to be won, then why not play it,
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. This prize pool, as again pointed out on the screen right there, just over nearly $28,000 on the line here in the Diamond Division. So
I want to be playing, man.
I know. You got to be casting with me, though. I know.
Oh,
Tough
man.
times.
So your fault.
I know. All right, anyways, we are moving along with the draft here, so we got to start talking about what's actually happening in the game now. We look at the initial bans. It was Ophelia, Swiftblade, Parasite, Cthulhu Font. Nothing crazy there. The picks, though, went into Tempest, Kraken, Glacius, Keeper, and then Pebbles into Rhapsody. So, I tell you what, man, it just seems like Keeper and Tempest especially have just come back, and they are strong here on the competitive scene once again.
I mean, it's because we had the original meta of the team fight and the push where we saw BMG and Stay Green sort of play the strategy, and then we sort of slowly started to see like tri lanes, a bit more action, but at the same time, I don't think in terms of that what style of play is enough push or enough sort of strong enough to really face against this sort of team fight and push teams. And without the right sort of balance and the right kind of aggression and sort of what needs to be done in terms of balance, there's no point kind of playing that way because this is still superior. I mean, if we're talking about when Insania was on the class, he made a great point in that team fights are really what sort of dictate games and really decide games. So why would you want to play any kind of other strategy than that? It's the biggest in terms of the golden experience swing. So as long as you have the strongest team fight, then of course then you're most likely going to win the game. Obviously, it doesn't always boil down to that, but at the end of the day, as long as you pick a strong team fight draft, then you'll probably get the best advantage to win.
Yeah. Now, I will say this, too, speaking of that combination, what that combo is really known for is, perhaps some more drawn-out games. We just saw it so much, especially in the Stay Green days, throughout a lot of Season 2, of course. Honestly, a little bit of that has kind of been brought back. Dawn, they've been really pushing that. The Ophelia, obviously part of that trio of Jungle Heroes as well. We have been seeing some kind of drawn-out, longer games even from Dawn specifically. So, as a caster, as a spectator, you're like, God, why is that back? But as you're pointing out, team fight, that's what wins you games in the end. So why not pick the strongest for that? So I'm curious how that kind of goes about today. I mean, Night Raid, they feel like more to me as a team that's looking to be aggressive, as most teams are nowadays, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the one slight change between obviously BMG and Stay Green is that it seems like there's a lot less all-in push. Like back in the days with Stay Green, like they were taking racks at like 12, 13 minutes. Like these games, like you said, are being drawn out in that respect. They're going later, and they have a little bit more carry potential and carry presence in that because obviously the carry's calling patch. But the fact of the matter is that the team fight is still there, and I mean at the same time, the heroes that are useful and really strong in the game are very, very good in terms of team fight. You've got Rhapsody, Keeper, Tempest, Kraken. All these heroes are just great heroes, and a few of the other heroes that aren't picked up as much don't really have that team fight sort of style of play, and therefore in that respect we don't really get to see them. But
yeah.
The fact of the matter is, I mean, there is still a lot of action compared to like what it used to be at the time. There was a lot of rotations as well, but we're coming to sort of see that kind of meta come back.
Absolutely. Now, both teams definitely looking for the carry still. In fact, you see Nat right there. He's right-clicking Nightmares, right-clicking between Moon Queen and Mage Bean as some possible options. But you look at the bands. I mean, Magnus initially, but then Doctor and a Malakin, Silhouette, Dark Lady, and a Warby. So, definitely very heavy carry presence being banned out by both of these teams here. Again, though, if you're tuning in, you're like, wait, Malakin ban? I mean, Dark Lady, but yeah, Pro Busk especially, the Malakin, they've actually ran that several times, and it's definitely been to their success. They really like to synergize it with that team fight presence, something like a Keeper of the Forest, who keeps an AoE presence of locking a team down. Obviously, Malakin really shines with that. So, being banned here, again, Silhouette, kind of another one of those heroes that Pro Busk specifically has been showing the power of. Granted, Labyrinth actually banned that. Taken away from Night Raid possibly. There's a Soul Stealer, though, coming out. You see Bubbles was the pickup from Night Raid, but it looks like they may be looking to go the Soul Stealer option here.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw actually the Soul Stealer pick up in the BMG. No, actually it was the Tree game, but obviously Hanskin was actually playing for Tree, and I thought it was BMG. But when Hanskin was playing for Tree, they actually picked up Soul Stealer. And the hero's great, and particularly against the sort of style of play we've been talking about, the team fight potential. The hero is perfect in that sense. Can farm very, very quickly, which is needed because obviously you want to get that early farm to get involved in team fights. And the spells he's got is very, very strong for team fights as well. A lot of AoE, obviously, is Demon Hands and incredibly Soul Burst as well. You pop that on top of a Keeper or a Kraken, I mean, they're just going to get incredibly exploded. So, in that respect, it's a great pickup. That one thing that should be noted, though, he hasn't got the greatest laning presence. So maybe we're going to see maybe Rhapsody babysit Soul Stealer for the early levels. But if he's not careful, he can actually have a tough time against Bubbles. But we'll have to see.
Yeah. Final pick for... oh, there you go. For Night Raid, it is going to be the Moon Queen. Again, they were right clicking between him and even Mageman, it looked like, but they get the Moon Queen option. Yeah, this is kind of just a solid all-around lineup. I mean, not a lot of question marks here on Night Raid's side. They got their lane set up, really. They got the jungle presence of Tempest. They got great team fight and the ultimate hard carry in the end, if it comes to that. So very, very just strong draft here coming out from Misery, who's actually the captain, of course, at the time being for Night Raid. And again, I keep almost wanting to say Absolute Legends because 3 of their 5 players have to be tagged up AL. But no, they are Night Raid at this time. Torture, the final pick, coming out for Dawn on the other side. That's actually kind of interesting. I wonder, what does that actually mean? Because
and they'll probably do a Torture Rhapsody mid, and it was quite common back in the sort of dual mid days that it was kind of like a triangle in respect. So hookers beat dual ranged beats sort of bursters, and bursters normally beat hookers in that respect. So obviously you got dual ranged here for Dawn. They'll most likely win this dual mid matchup because the amount of harassment they can put onto Pebbles, particularly obviously he has low armor, so he shouldn't be having too great of time in the middle lane until he gets maybe level 5, level 6, where the burst potential is just going to tip them over the scales in terms of the dual mid matchup. But yeah, and then we're going to see most likely a solo short Soul Stealer, so he'll most likely be matched up against the Bubbles in the Suicide lane or short lane for Soul Stealer. And I mentioned before that he might have a little bit of a hard time actually because he doesn't have the greatest laning presence because he doesn't get those early souls. But one particular sort of strategy, I remember actually it was Complexity ran back in the day with Soul Stealer and Keeper of the Forest, where they actually used the dogs on Kongor to actually get the early levels of early souls and Soul Stealer. And I think they should do it here because he will be most likely matched up against Bubbles, and he's going to have kind of a hard time if he doesn't get those early souls. And an extra 3 or 4 early souls can honestly be the difference between winning and losing a matchup. So I would like to see Dawn do it here, but we'll have to see if they will.
It's one of those things exactly. If if you have a hero like a Keeper or a War Beast even, you could definitely look to do it, but it's not every game when you pick up a Soul Stealer, you know that's going to be the case. So it just so happens they got that combo here, so why not maximize that potential? What else are you going to be doing other than sending the dogs out initially? Maybe try to get some information. That doesn't hurt, sure, but you could argue getting those early souls on Soul Stealer, which is very important in that laning phase, of course, and it can be the difference maker for giving him that snowball presence. So that's I'm intrigued to see if Dawn actually pulls that off. But again, this is a Dawn team. Like I said, they went 2-0 against Willowkeeper right off the bat. They were actually on the verge. They arguably even should have won the series against BMG. We were casting that series.
Should've.
I mean, they had their chances, but in the end, sure, BMG deserves it too. But Dawn had a lot of good chances to even take that series there. But here they are, nonetheless. Fairly happy still. I'm sure the fact that they're already top 4. Possibly looking for more, but got to be at the same time a little bit disappointing that they were so close still, but what's done is done. That was last week. And again, guys, before we get too much into this match, like I said, I know a lot of people and us as well for good reason really excited about the winter bracket finals. That is Sync Esports versus Bad Monkey Gaming, and we say that it's like that already in itself is always just a good matchup, but it's even a little bit different now because, of course, this is the first time that they're going to be playing BMG with that new lineup, obviously, of players. So, just because it happens to be the same team name, but in a sense it is definitely a different team. So, definitely looking forward to that one, though, and having fun there. But, again, we got Night Raid versus Dawn here in the losers bracket to see which team is going to move on to the losers bracket finals at that point. So, a little bit of aggressive play here coming out from Dawn and getting down some rev wards and blocking off some Tempest jungle camps here for the time being.
I think it's actually going to be a dual mid with Kraken, actually, because Yellow Rexar is normally the suicide blade keeper, so they're actually going to most likely run two dual lanes with Kraken, Rhapsody mid, and Torture and Soul Stealer top most likely. That's why they're actually blocking out the jungle, because if they were jungling the keeper, they wouldn't be too worried about blocking Tempest's jungle, because they're most likely be able to farm, at least get farm for farm with Tempest and Keeper of the Forest. But in this case, they're actually going to run 2 supports. So the one issue I've got with them not running a jungler, though, is that they are going to fall behind, obviously, in terms of golden experience. So they need these supporters to have an impact early on in the laning phase, whether it's due to getting better farm or more importantly getting those early rotations and those early kills. So so maybe his Torch is going to go mid, or they're going to do are they going to do a tri lane?
I mean, yeah, both are heading up here. It's obviously it's a. I mean, once they really maybe they were almost expecting some, but there's no way they would consciously make the decision to try that against the solo bubbles. That obviously just seems a little silly, but...
Ooh, Soul Stealer?
Is he in trouble? Oh my god, he might be in a little bit of trouble. Yeah, a little bit of harassment there. Present 25. Putting some good pressure on, but they actually getting to use the early health push. Now they know that Shelter's on cooldown, so actually all of a sudden Present might be the one in a little bit of trouble. Not really, though, because Soul Stealer doesn't have Demon Hands, of course, at level 1. So a little bit of back and forth, going to force some early regen to be coming out here. You do see Torture. He is making his way back to the middle lane. Yeah, you could have maybe looked to pull that top creep wave initially and then go for more of the jungling secondary support, which we've seen obviously quite a bit, but they choose not to do that. And
they should try and have a presence in the middle lane, because it's actually going to be a solo Pebbles here, and they should really try and box him out as much as possible, because like I said before, and I've mentioned it on other casts, it's your initiator that you want to get the early farm on. Yeah, obviously it's important to get Moon Queen the farm, but they should really try and prioritise the Pebbles, and actually here comes Glacier, so it's the right move coming from Night Raid. But talking of actually how Dawn have laned this, I would have preferred the Rhapsody mid with Kraken instead of the Torturer mid, because, actually Kraken...
Yeah, we do see Kraken's in some trouble right here. He's going to Tsunami charge away. Oh my god, barely surviving that final auto attack. Yeah, it took him down just to 9 HP, but enough to live, obviously. So good gank attempt for the Bloodlust kill, but unsuccessful in the end. Coming up.
Yeah, but I mean, just going back to, I would have preferred to see Rhapsody mid, because Rhapsody is always a better dual laner than Torturer, because Rhapsody can have a lot more presence in terms of sort of harassment onto Pebbles because of that staccato, and at the same time Torturer is a better boxing support compared to Rhapsody because of that impalement. So Torturer would be wrecking this bubbles. I mean, Rhapsody would do fine, but Torturer would be better, and obviously Rhapsody would be doing better mid. So there's a slight little quibble I've got there, but an interesting rotation card from Tempest actually. He's actually going to go into the enemy jungle, because I mean his camps are blocked, but I mean, he's got rev wards on him, and this is actually a very, very risky thing. If Dawn do realise that Tempest is in their own jungle, you'll see the rotation from Torture and Rhapsody, and if Tempest's not careful, you could definitely give first blood here. So
yeah, definitely need to be looking out for that, especially against that dual support. It is a very, very risky decision. Even more so again on a hero like Tempest. If it was a Parasite, perhaps A little bit better chance of a getaway if it calls for that scary situation, but yeah, he's going to need to be very, very careful. Again, Cookie's the one playing Tempest in this case. So, I am looking at this Legion team, and honestly, Nightmares is the only player I don't really recognize as far as, seen throughout history. I don't know if you know anything about that player. I've heard much about him, but
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's a Smurf.
Could it be? That probably would make sense, actually.
It's a Smurf. So it most likely is an old US player, but I'm not 100% sure who actually is.
That's fair.
Because I'm not too familiar with him as a player, so I'm assuming it's going to be a Smurf, but I'm not sure obviously who the Smurf is, unfortunately.
Well,
I could be wrong though. It could just be a player we've never had before.
That's
just my gut player. My gut. But there's not a lot of high tier men US players now, so I'm assuming.
Dang, shots fired.
It's true though.
Shots fired. No, I know.
2K US man is like 1500 EU. So.
Wait, yeah, no. That's jeez. You're just going over the top now, sir. You're just trying to start trouble. All right. So speaking of him, unfortunately, DC'd right now, but hopefully going to be coming back here shortly, and let's get an idea of how this game's going to continue to progress here. But yeah, again, here we are back with the second weekend. Obviously, what is Cycle 4, and just like as it's been, this will be a weekend. Again, plenty of action ahead of us, but we'll have a weekend break in between. This next one and going into Cycle 5. But again, the big question mark is if Sync Esports is ultimately going to repeat for 4 cycles straight in a row, or if another team will come out on top. And I mean, the BMG versus Sync series, we're going to get a lot of good information from that series, especially because there's been a lot of talking for good reason, especially from Sync. I mean, they've been very vocal about this. I know we've had Insanio, we've had Slapdon, KZ. I mean, they've all basically stressed the point about BMG, and now they just simply don't practice. It seems like they just don't care ultimately as far as how well they do, as long as they're doing good enough. But I mean, they played very, very good with that said, last weekend, of course. And again, I'm very intrigued to see how they match up, because in the end, they are star tier players. For the most part on the roster, and even with minimal practice, they definitely are a scary team to face. So I don't know. I obviously for a lot of me wants to sit here and say at least it's going to be even a 3-game series, and a very good one, of course. But it could go either way. It could also be just a quick 2-0 sweep in Sync's favor, the way they're playing, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I think Zinc have such an advantage is because not only they obviously practice and scrim more, which is obviously the most innate advantage, it's because the sort of strategy in the meta now has obviously gone back to sort of team fight and push, and with obviously a lot of the top teams like old BMG and Slate Green, they were obviously the masters of that kind of strategy, and most of the other teams weren't sort of practicing that strategy, whereas Sync were still sort of practicing that strategy. So now it's come back. They've had a lot more practice of that one particular strategy, and obviously most of the BMG members have been out of the scene, so it's kind of who has the most practice in that kind of strategy. In this case, I think it's going to be Zinc, and that's why I think they're most likely going to take the series. But I mean, who knows? Anything can really happen.
Yeah.
It's competitive on after all.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's really stressing that, guys. I know with this getting started an hour late, from my understanding, the teams obviously are going to wait for this series to finish, and then we'll jump into that series, get it from the beginning. So, no, they won't be starting early just because this one happened to be later on. But Torture actually going to put a lot of pressure on the Tempest. That's exactly what you're talking about. Rhapsody going to be cutting off, and this is going to be a bloodlust kill. Hugo Bick actually on Rhapsody ends up getting it. So, you knew it was a very high possibility. Cookies, though, he decided to take the risk, and unfortunately it backfires on him. And a bloodlust kill coming out for Don right here. So, of course, a very, very good start. And now Cookies, he's even going to be further behind. I'm guessing he'll probably just head back into his own jungle, even at this time. So, yeah, not the start you're looking for on your Tempest.
Yeah. I mean, it's just strange, though, because he picked up the Reward of Revelation, so as if he was actually going to unblock the camps and start, actually start jungling in his own camps. He's got an upgraded courier as well, and it just kind of seems strange to me that he would go into the enemy jungle. I mean, Cookies, when he was on the stint, he wasn't a jungle player, so maybe he's just maybe a little bit unfamiliar with the role.
Yeah.
But,
that is true. Yeah, he's definitely more of the ganking presence, even more of a carry presence player from the history. But again, again at this tier, and we talk about that quite a bit. It's like, we just saw Hanskin, ringing for Willowkeeper, for example, last weekend. he played a hell of a carry, honestly, for the games that we happen to see him in, and we're just so used to seeing him play jungle. So. But yeah, there are those little things. So if you're not doing it every single game in the top tier, then it's not as easy as just simply muscle memory. There's perhaps more thought put into it. So We've only seen apparently a Tempest aggressive jungle once. Yeah, so Tempest
That's
usually
why.
friendly in his own jungles and doesn't like going into scary places.
Hasty Torture, actually. He might be in trouble again.
Oh, that's brutal, man. He's like, okay, at least I'll be safe over here, and then Hasted Torture runs in. He's going to be fine, but Iceland Gogo applying a little bit of good harassment there. Now, Soulstew at the top lane, as you would expect. I mean, he's having a pretty good time up here. Moon Queen, not as much. I mean, 19-5 against the Keeper who's 12-4. So, I mean, yes, you could argue Keeper definitely a lot more of a harassing, a lot more frustrating suicide to go against. So is that surprising to you that Moon Queen is not doing as well, or is that...
Yeah, no, I mean, Moon Queen doesn't have the greatest laning presence, though, because, like, she has no kind of spammy spell, like, kind of spam nuke that can harass the hero as well as sort of get creep kills, so he's not the greatest laner. And Keeper, obviously, he has had a few significant nerfs to his laning phase, but he's still strong, and with, you know, higher base damage, even at level 5, he's incredibly dangerous. But here comes the roam, actually, from Tempest, so he might be in a little bit of trouble, actually.
Yeah, they're going to try to set something up. Does Tempest have or he does have a Rev Fort on him. I mentioned that earlier. So no dust on him, but could possibly catch Keeper, but not going to go for it and send back to the jungle. Again, it's really one of those games, especially since he's died already once. I mean, you got to either just go for the gank, or you just got to, you know, not really hesitate to look around. So it looks like he just decides to go back to farming for the meantime. Bubbles at the top lane taking some good harassment from Rhapsody, but here we go back to the bottom lane. Revor's put down. They know, of course, exactly where it is. No stun coming out yet. There's the stun finally coming out from Tempest, but it's only the one, and actually Moon Queen is a little bit low herself. So I'd be a little bit worried if I was her, but I think Keeper definitely going to be fine at the end. In fact, he goes back in. Nothing they're going to be able to do to finish him off. Yeah, the armor especially. I mean, even with that nerf, I mean, it's just too much to kind of tear through right there. So can't blame them, but yeah, it is one of those cases though. Unless Keeper of the Forest was a little bit lower, it probably wasn't even worth attempting there in the first place.
I mean, but to be fair, still having a jungler though is so important, because now they're getting like a farm secondary support, whereas, you know, the other supporters on Dawn are just sort of AFK sitting on lanes, just making sure, you know, neither of their sort of cores are already getting harassed. And you got level 3 Rhapsody and only level 4 Torture, and you compare that to a Tempest. Yeah, he's only 180 GPM, which is, of course, is a lot lower than a normal Tempest, but still it's a lot more than their secondary support. And I mean, it doesn't look like either the lanes are really suffering too much by not having that secondary support in lane. So as long as this goes fine, I mean, Night Raid aren't doing too bad.
Yeah, definitely, you know, despite getting Bloodlust, there's still much more to that, of course. In the end here, you see Bubbles again going back at it with Raps. Now, Bubbles has enough mana for a combo here, but is he going to... Okay, snipes it with a Shelter, but actually he's going to TP back to base and get some regen instead. So, just applying some good pressure right there, but we'll see. I mean, is he level 6 actually? No, he's still level 5. I was going to say if he was level 6, you know, could possibly look to gank elsewhere, but unfortunately, still level 5 for the time being, so we'll need to try to get the level 6 mark first before being able to use that Kelfield, of course. So, middle lane, you got Kraken, though, 316 gold per minute. Again, looking very strong. Pebbles up there, 285 GPM, but yeah, the slight advantage definitely kicking in for Labyrinth playing the Kraken. You've been stressing, too, Labyrinth especially, a very good Kraken
he's a
player.
great player. Yeah,
We've seen him play quite a bit, so expecting some big plays here, Mini Maggot, or I'm going to call you a liar.
He's good, man. Like whenever I used to play like high tier meme, he just used to just rape me with his Kraken, man. He's so strong,
Yeah.
like very, very good. And the heroes, I mean, I think Zinc arguably say that, you know, Kraken's one of the strongest heroes in the game right now, and he does honestly utilize it to its fullest potential. So definitely be on the lookout. So and also it's a great counter to Tempest element as well. So they got Keeper as well, but always helps to have more than one superior element. So.
God. You look at Soulsteer's farm, and it just starts to go up and up, man. 400 gold per minute here. Probusk, again, knows what he's doing. He's going to run into some Wild Hunters here, so the Demon Hand's not powerful against those necessarily, but he is actually buying a Nullstone. Does he? I don't know if we've actually seen Probusk play Soulsteer before.
I don't think we have.
Quincy would probably be able to confirm that, but actually middle lane,
Oh,
Kraken
middle lane.
might be in some trouble here, yep. You see the Invis Pebbles. He's just waiting for the right time, and they're going to go for Torture instead. That's a guaranteed kill. Very good patience, and yes, the final auto attack will be enough. Kraken wasn't close enough to be able to react right there in time. But yeah, good patience from Misery. He could have easily tried to open on the Kraken right there and probably wouldn't have got the kill. So, you know, waited to see where the other guy was, and sure enough, he was there. So yeah, there you go, confirmation. Probusk has not played Soulsteer. So that's what I was getting at, though. I mean, go on the Nullstone first. You know, you like that option here?
Yeah, I mean, you need that kind of regen from Soulsteel. I would actually like to see Dawn start stacking triple stack Ancients as soon as possible, honestly, because once he gets that level 4 Demon Hands, which he's already got, he can farm those Ancients very, very quickly. Actually, middle lane, Kraken does fall in the end. Tempest's not even needed, it looks like. So, Yeah, I mean, Kraken just not strong enough, and this is where it gets honestly very, very scary here for Dawn, because I mean they've picked dual supports, and yet they're still behind in terms of the laning phase, and it's only going to get worse from here because you pick sort of dual supports because you want to have a good laning phase and a good early start, and I mean if you're down in terms of kills when the enemy team has a jungler and you don't, then I mean it's just going to be bad news. I mean, you saw the stat that actually Quincy posted a little bit before, but you see jungle lineups compared to non-jungle lineups, and they're like 7-3, so like 70% win rate compared to sort of 30% win rate on dual supports, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like, if you're going to pick dual supports, then try and get aggressive, because otherwise, why not pick a jungler? Even if it's a second-rate jungler like Legionnaire or Warbeast, at least you're utilising the farm on the jungle. Because at the moment, the secondary supports are just sort of sitting there and taking XP away from the cores. You've got level 4 Rhapsody, level 5 Tiltra, and even though Tempest had a bad start, he's level 7 now with 220 GPM. So already, Night Raid looking strong, and Dawn not doing incredibly great.
Some very intricate stats there. I mean, you talk about that, but again, he also stressed the Rhapsody data right there. I mean, we did mention that, especially from Cycle 3. Cycle 4, not even much better. 28 and 17 of the first 2 cycles. In Cycle 3 and 4 so far, she's 14 and 22. So, really kind of a complete turnaround there as far as her presence and her impact getting you those wins in these games. So, picked up here on Dawn. So a couple of factors to definitely keep in mind here. Perhaps given the favorite 2 Night Raid. But yeah, you do see Keeper of the Forest coming, and now Ward of Sight's put down. They don't have any dust here. They do have a Rev Ward, though, on Tempest. Seems like he's making a priority of that over the dust. I find that a little curious. I mean, seems like dust in general against these Infants kind of heroes usually more efficient, especially, 180 gold for the 2 dust compared to just the 1 Rev Ward for 100 gold.
I mean, it depends what kind of sort of strategy he wants to go for. If he wants to go defensive, then he should pick up Rev Wards and normal wards. But if he wants to go aggressive and looks for ganks, then Dust is definitely more superior, because you want to have the Ward of Revelation sort of there in the mid lane, so that whenever Keeper comes around, then he's going to be there. But Dust, obviously, you'll need it in terms of ganking. And at the moment, Night Raid are sort of happy to sort of sit back and farm, and as they should be. They've got the jungler, they've got the harder late game, arguably. So there's no need to get aggressive. And it's honestly on Dawn's initiation, and it's their sort of start to go aggressive. But here comes the aggression in mid lane.
Release the Kraken. There's a charge back into the tower. It didn't stun him, but it should be enough tower damage. Yes, it will. Good combo from Pebbles. Trying to maybe even get a turnaround, but it wasn't to be. And down falls Misery. Top lane, Bubbles going to be dove on. Soul Stealer looking for the Demon Hand. No, the angle was not correct. Good dodge by Presence 25 right there. Able to just get the angle himself. Again, it's not easy to land those Soul Stealer Demon Hands, especially at the long range like that with the angles coming in. So, Bubbles survives. He's going to even shell strip a little bit, but will fall back to base, where he's going to get his regen on. So a good kill, though, in the middle lane coming out from Kraken there at that time. But obviously a tower push from Moonqueen. And look at this. Actually going to steal double stack Ancients? Or no, they are going to go into the lane right here, run into Keeper.
They got Dust.
Uh-oh, do they? Yeah, Dust? No, he's not going to use it.
Use it. It's a little bit out of... Yeah, Tempest didn't actually have upgraded boots, so it would have been hard for him to close the distance in the end. But they're just going to push here, and I mean, without Kraken and Portal Key, they don't really have the greatest initiation, honestly. So, taking these towers and taking these pushes, they're not in too much danger. Seeing as Pebbles has just picked up his Portal Key now, I mean, Dawn, they're a little bit on the back foot, and it could be a little bit dangerous because you'll expect Night Raid to start getting aggressive now. Actually, middle lane.
Love it. Poor man's Portal Key coming out right there. Glacius puts the freeze on. Pebbles with this combo. They are diving big time, though. And actually, Kraken will get away. Bubbles, no Kelfield, thus not able to help finish off Kraken. They will kill Torture, but at what cost here? It looks like at nothing, as no TPs coming to the first tower. And they are going to be able to jet on out of there. So, yeah, that was a pretty big dive. They didn't get the target that they initially went for, but at least they came out with something. And they did force some rotations as well. I mean, still even getting a little involved, or trying to, taking away a bit from his farm. So, overall, definitely still working out pretty well for Night Raid right there. But Soul Stealer does have that Nullstone finish now. And into the jungle, he is farming for the time being. And again, that GPM, it's already been going up and up, expected to go even higher at this point. 450 gold per minute now. Moonqueen, with that said, she has definitely stepped up her game as you would expect to. Having, for the most part, pretty good farm down here. Whispering Helm with the Steam Booth. I believe something else was purchased. Looks like just a quick play for the time being, but at least going to go for the follow-up Firebrand here. And going to continue to push the bottom. So, yeah, and you mentioned the Portal Key on Pebbles, which he has here, and obviously use it. In fact, going to use it right here on a Soul Stealer. Now, with that Nullstone going to cost them issues, they took it off, though. Down goes Soul Stealer. The Rhapsody Protected Melody was just a half a second too late, and now Yugo Pick also in trouble. One more auto attack will do her in, but the turret with the slow. And now Pebbles in some trouble himself, perhaps. Well, let's crack into the background. Bubbles being locked down. Keeper the Forest Read as well. Glacius gets pulled in as well as Tempest, but the follow-up damage is not the best, and thus they should be fine. Pebbles still has a Portal Key, but no. he's not going to look for a finish right here. Well, there's a vote to pause. But, hey, they got the Soul Stealer kill. That protected Melody Man just a second too long of a wait right there.
Yeah, and you're sort of seeing that Dawn, they're trying to get involved and trying to get aggressive, but they just don't have the items to really get involved. They don't have the portal key on their initiator, and you're sort of seeing the impact it's having. Like, you saw the instant initiation on Pro Basque, and where was his team to follow up? I mean, they weren't there, put simply, because they don't have the initiation items. They don't have the items to take these team fights. And, you know, with this strategy and with these sort of mirror matchups, it's who really gets those early core items and who's going to sort of take the advantage earlier enough. And in this case, it's going to be Night Raid. And as you can see, the advantage is being pushed. I mean, it wasn't too bad. Obviously, they did get Present 25, but still, obviously, Moon Queen's alive, Tempest alive, and still Pebbles alive. And the three most important heroes in Night Raid now. So, Dawn, they really do need to get buck up their gears here. They've got Portal Key on Kraken coming up soon. I don't know if Keeper of the Forest is going to pick up the Astrolabe or not, but one thing I mentioned before is that the Triple Stack Ancients, they haven't really been utilising it the whole game, and they really should. There's so much farm there for Soulstealer, and he's just not really been taking advantage of it. So, Dawn, there's a few things they really do need to improve on here.
Yeah. Yeah, you see the triple stack over there. That's a double stack on the Hellborn set, as we talked about earlier. So definitely a good amount of farm still to be had here on either side at this point. I mean, overall, though, it does continue to be a very even matchup in the sense of Golden experience, especially. Golden has a slight advantage for Night Raid. Experience, though, is practically identical at this point. Pebbles in the background. He just jumps towards her. And now Kraken's actually kind of left her alone. He might go for a turn kill, but he is by himself. With that said, it's risky. In fact, Tempest ultimate. It pulls him in. The tower is not assisting some damage, but it doesn't need to as Pebbles goes in to finish him off. Misery with the double tap. And, I mean, you got to almost question a little bit what Dom was thinking, committing so much as they did. But at the same time, it was also very well played by Night Raid right there.
Yeah, definitely. And, I mean, honestly, there was a little bit of miscommunication there. Like, Pebbles was sort of out on the outskirts of that engagement there because he didn't want to get initiated from Kraken, but Cookie just went in YOLO and just popped the hole, and as he should have, really. But a little bit of sort of miscommunication there, but not in the biggest of deals because obviously they still got the kill. But a deny on bottom tower, actually, and Tier 2 falls just early on as well. And they're losing their lane, sort of the map control bit by bit, and we've got Astrolabe now on Tempest, Firebrand, and Moon Queen, and expect that farm to sort of skyrocket now with Moon Queen. And
yeah.
I mean, even if she sort of doesn't even want to start farming, if she wants to get involved, which she definitely can, then Dawn, they've got a few issues here, and I honestly don't think they really have the items or the tools to really address Night Raid at the moment, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, you usually would expect to, and then also pick up Soulshare to continue to progress, but again, that death has really slowed him down. He's gone down in that GPM, down to 430 gold per minute about when he was upwards of 450. So, again, starting to rise back up. He picks up a Mystic Vestments here to help tank up somewhat. Bottom rune area, there is some initiation. Glacius, though, he got the invis and actually going to survive right there. So, the attempt for the kill, but no cigar. You see a spawn on the triple stack. So, again, speaking of Ancients as well, in fact, Moon Queen is doing the Legion triple stack Ancients, as we were talking about earlier, and it looks like she's doing just fine. What the hell? One of the Dragon Masters getting a little crazy. Anyways, back to the middle lane. We do have a jump here on Glacius. He gets pulled back in. It is going to be fall right there in the end, as the tower was killed by Pebbles, though, so at least they get a hero kill out of it, but still the tower for an exchange of Glacius. I think Night Raid will take that every day of the week right there. Playing a sacrificial lamb in a sense. So, well played. You see Bubbles picking up farm where he can at the top lane. Again, still a little ways off of that portal key himself, but he's got some decent build up here. Grave Locket, the Steam Boots, not doing too shabby. Where does Soulstealer go from here? So we talked about the Nullstone. You like that as far as the regen. Does he need that Shrunken Head, you think?
I mean, he's definitely going to need Shrunken Head, but I don't know if that's going to be the next time. I would like to see a portal key on him because I think he really can synergize quite well with the team synergy of Keeper and Kraken. But, I mean, I think there's one or two items. It's either got to be the portal key or the Shrunken Head. And I think it's just going to depend what Dawn's sort of style of play is, whether they want to get aggressive and get those early burst kills with the portal key, or just sort of play it safe and just sort of sit back and right click with Soulstealer. I mean, preferably I would like to see the portal key because there's a lot of obviously sort of spells sort of locked down Soulstealer, but they need that mobility. Because just cracking with a portal key is just not enough. He's not like your instant jump in burst like Pebbles. He's got to land the charge, and he's got to land the release of Kraken, and it's just a little bit awkward. And obviously the mobility from Soulstealer is going to help with that as well. So that's what I'd like to see from Soulstealer here.
Yeah.
And there's the portal key actually, so he does pick it up. So.
Yep. He's got that good jump now, so we'll see if he makes use of that here. Just going to pick up the farm at the top lane again with that first tower being killed. Got quite the good creep push here at the top side, so will gladly pick up the farm. He does have vision in his jungle, so in fact I'm pretty sure he just saw Tempest walking by. So he's got a good idea of where some people may be at. Keeper the Force runs into Moon Queen right here. Moon Queen had a Moon Finale, but with him spawning the minions, obviously it would be a very risky decision there, so decides not to do it, instead just cleans up the minions. And let's Keeper of the Force go on his way. But Moon Queen, she does pick up a Mighty Blade now. We see this quite a bit. Whispering Helmet and the Firebrand to assist with the farming as well as some damage output. Then you work into the Shrunken Head. And most certainly, just like in a lot of games, Shrunken Head going to be important. You are going against especially things like Release the Kraken and obviously the Root is the other big thing. But getting both the Shrunken Head and the Geometer's Bane going to be very ideal and will eventually, of course, be the case here. There's the Mighty Blade pickup on Soul Stealer. With that said, to follow up the Portal Key. But man, just look at that GPM. Soul Stealer, again, just one of these really impressive mid-game carry heroes for this reason. His flash farming ability is arguably one of the best in the game.
Yep.
You could say the best in the right hands. The demon hands just allow him to just quickly go on a very constant basis. So, not too surprising, I guess, to see his GPM up there at about 520 go per minute at this time. But again, this does kind of go back a little bit to what I was talking about with Dawn specifically. They've been kind of a drawing out kind of team. That they don't look necessarily to constantly aggressively go for kills. The Lion's Gank, as it's so often referred to. They're looking to play the very smart, the very patient team game.
Oh.
And speaking of that, they find an opportunity to crack and charge, so going to completely whiff. They were just kind of blindly going into that. And everybody going to escape. Maybe not Glacius. He's going to end up dying in the end. But so they will pick up a kill right there and finish off the ranges. So yeah, a little greedy play coming out from Night Raid. But in the end, again, they only lose a Glacius, so it's like really not that big a deal. But
this does actually free up, obviously, Bubbles in the top lane to get his farm. It looks like he's going to go for a tablet instead of Portal Key. I'm fine with that, honestly, because obviously you can use the tablet to sort of cancel Rhapsody ultimates if he doesn't obviously have the silence or Kelpfield on cooldown. And they've got obviously the Portal Key on Pebbles, and expect maybe the Portal Key on Tempest as well. And actually there's a tablet on Pebbles, so a lot of ways to actually get interrupt, obviously Rhapsody as well as actually the Soul Stealer ultimate if it is used. And at the same time, it's another way to actually cancel the Nullstone from Soul Stealer. So a lot of these ways sort of address Pro Boss, which I do like to see, because a lot of the games that is middle lane.
Yeah, Pebbles going to be jumped on here, release Kraken. Oh my god, and he just disappeared. He evaporated into thin air. Yeah, that Soul Burst is pretty strong right there.
But no, I do like to see the tablet pick up, because it's targeted obviously at the Nullstone from Pro Basque. And whenever I see Dawn do well, obviously they're great players, the whole team, but it is honestly Pro Basque just carrying them. And so it's almost like you have to address Pro Basque to really shut down Dawn. And these sort of items are sort of tending to sort of try and shut down Pro Basque, at least in a small way in that respect. So, and if you want to sort of shut down Pro Basque, I think that's the way to go. Actually, bottom lane Glacius is going to be falling as well, actually. So Dawn actually getting a little bit aggressive now, and Torture will he pay with his life?
Yeah, it looks like at least Torture or Bubbles coming in. Yeah, he's invis though. Yeah, Dust. They have no clue where he is. Dust is finally going to be used. They are going to go for Keeper the Force, so I believe Torture actually was dusted. But they're just going to commit for a kill on a Keeper. They will get it. He tries to TP out, not going to happen. But yeah, Torture is dusted, but he's too far by now to be able to chase down. So good. Good kind of split reaction there from Dom, but at the same time, they did lose Keeper for a Glacius, and that's not the trade that they're definitely looking for. So good response by Nate Reed in that sense. You look at Pebbles. He's looking for some revenge, and he may find it right here on a Rhapsody. One more auto attack. The staccato stun's just enough, but not enough in the end as the Shell Surf comes through to finish off the job. So speaking of Bubbles, by the way, he actually chose to go the tablet first over the Portal Key. Tablet against heroes like Kraken especially. Definitely a very powerful tool. So I guess you can look at it from that logic there and how it possibly makes sense. Does that make sense to you over the Portal Key?
Yeah, it's good. I mentioned it a little bit before as well. It's a way to sort of shut down Rhapsody almost as well, because normally as a Bubbles, you don't want to just focus your Song of the Silence on the Kelpfield just for Rhapsody, but the tablet can easily be used to sort of cancel that. And at the same time, as mentioned before as well, you can really shut down the Nullstone factor pick up from Soulster because of that obviously targeted spell. So I do like it. They're going to get a Portal Key on Tempest as well, so there's no need to rush the Portal Key on Bubbles. He might even go back for him, but the tablet is good as well. He didn't have the greatest of starts. He's doing fine now, 300 GPM, but it's good to have that extra bit of stats as well, seeing as he is getting against some kind of bursty lineup with the Kraken and Soul Stealer. So I think it's fine, and I think that you can either go the tablet or the Portal Key first, and it's a little bit of personal preference as well. So it's fun.
Who got the... Cookie is actually getting the Portal Key here. I was going to say there's one on the Courier, but it's not Bubbles. So yeah, Tempest actually getting his own Portal Key too. Happens to be Invis. Oh my god, this guy could actually be a huge fight right here. Now there is a Rev Ward down, so Tempest needs to be very careful. He's just out of range for the time being, but if he gets any bit closer, then that could really backfire in terms of this. I mean, you got to expect there's some kind of vision here. So yeah, if Cookies is smart, then I assume that he's not going to go in the vicinity. Now, he might have just went close enough to be spotted right there. Despite him being invis. So he's going around the long way, though. He's looking for a jump. Pebbles up in the background. Temps with the open as well. They catch a couple of supports here. And Torture going to fall right off the bat. Rhapsody still alive. Keeping the force. Root comes out. No Tempest ultimate uses it. There's a Tempest ultimate. He jumped right into it. And Soul Stealer, but it's stopped by the release of Kraken and eventually pulled him in. Protective Melody comes out as well. Keeping the force. Going to stay alive. Moon Finale not going to be enough. Moon Queen goes down. The Soul Burst goes off. And Probusk looking for the kills. He is still full life. Good to go. Hat-trick already coming out. He's going for the quad kill. He's going to get the quad kill. Damn it. What a play by Probusk right there. The Shrunken Head, I tell you what, though, the release to Kraken happened to be in the perfect spot right there for Tempest because they canceled him just in time.
I mean, that initiation from Nitro was perfect. They got a dual stun onto the both supports here on Dawn, and I'm really surprised that Cookies didn't actually ult onto the Torture and Rhapsody. I know it's obviously not the biggest kind of cause in terms of ulting, but if he ults there, that's an instant death on Torture and Rhapsody. It makes it 3v5. Instead, he tries to make a big Tempest ultimate, instantly gets cancelled from the Kraken, and I mean, they could have easily just took 2 heroes out of the fight from Dawn, and that would be that, and they take a team fight 5v3 from then on, and they really should have tried to utilise the actual great initiation they had, and instead they try and go greedy. And as again, I mean, Proboss just absolutely mopping up the team fights, and this is exactly what I was talking about, Breaky. Proboss, man, I mean, he's going ham. Like every single game I see him, he just has such a great game, and it clearly having a great game here as well. 5-1-1, 630 GPM, and he's got his Stronger Head now and his Firebrand. Like, where did he get this farm from, Breaky? I just don't know, man.
It's like he has a chip on his shoulder or something. I mean, you know, again, he obviously was a part of Recent Gaming. They parted ways, though. Before that, he was a part of Sync Esports. People may forget he was actually part of their roster, but eventually, you know, was no longer a part. As again, the team just wasn't fitting together for whatever reason. And you know, even we've had him on the podcast a couple times, and you know, he was making the point. It's like he wants to ideally join a Diamond team. He ended up joining Don though in the Gold Division, and obviously they made the run there. And now that he's in Diamond, like I said, it's like there's a chip on his shoulder. He's ready to really prove all these top-tier Diamond players and other teams that you know, it's their loss that they moved on from him. So you can guarantee he is looking for a matchup, especially against Sync Esports in the end. So
he's higher than Reason at the moment. So I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's got to be somewhat happy about that at least. But yeah, make it the big play. I mean, you just look at this GPM now, 631 go per minute here. Pretty damn ridiculous. He's got a token alive, level 19. Yeah, the chew factor is what we've called it so many times. In this case, the Probusk factor is definitely real here. Now, Geometer's Bane on the works for both, actually, Soul Stealer and Moon Queen. I mean, Moon Queen did have the Shrunken Head even last fight. I'm honestly not even too sure how she fell so quickly. Like, I don't even think it was a Soul Burst necessarily.
It's just all attacks. I mean, he got caught in the Keeper route, and Proboss was hitting quite hard. And obviously, with the level 4 Dread as well, he hits very hard, regardless of whether Stronger Head is picked up from Moon Queen Eve. And actually, Dawn are going to stop pushing in. They do have the token on Soul Stealer, and this would be the perfect time, all almost on cooldown, so they're going to go try and go in.
Well, Pebbles nearly getting in a bad spot, but Misery going to be fine. Misery, he's been doing his best to really keep his team in a good spot. I mean, he's 7-3-4 right here, so no doubt the star player on his side for this game, but I mean, overall, it is only a 2,000 goal lead. In fact, well, it's kind of swinging back and forth right there after a couple tower kills. But still, 2,500 goal lead, 1,300 actually for Night Raid. I didn't even realize that until I was saying it. So it's actually leading for Night Raid after all of this in terms of the golden experience. Now, as we always say, I mean, there's a lot more to the story, of course, than just those stats. But at the same time, they are important to look at, and they give you at least somewhat of an idea of where the game might be at. And so I think that really tells us that Night Raid, by all means, is definitely still in this game. That on top of, well, they have a Moon Queen and a Tempest, in fact. So, yeah, they're definitely still in this game. One big team fight could definitely get them right back in it, if not give them a good lead moving on. So, you know, playing the patience game, have that short-term memory. It's like, okay, we gave up a quad kill, whatever. What's done is done. Let's move on. 2 minutes left on that token alive here for Soul Stealer. Curious if Don's going to really look to push the issue. I mean, they kind of push a couple towers there. There is a bottom secondary tower still up. I don't think that they're going to be going for that, though. In fact, Soul Stealer's all the way at the top side here. So it looks like they might not really look to push the issue unless they go bottom now.
I mean, they definitely can't go high ground, seeing as they're going against like a Tempest, Moon Queen, and Pebbles. It's just too much. They need to be very, very far ahead, or at least get a pick off, or try and take a team outside. But going sort of pushing high ground when you have these big AoE ultimates is just definitely not the way to go here. They should maybe try and take this tier 1 or at least tier 2 bottom, which it does look like they're actually going to rotate and do. They've got token on like a minute, which they can easily take the tier 1, and it's close to death already, so they should try and get that, try and assert some map control, and try and maybe farm the enemy jungle, because that's the big thing why actually Night Rain are actually ahead, because they're actually having a little bit better resource control. You saw Bubble was actually farming the enemy jungle a lot of the time, and that's taking a lot of farm away from Dawn, and so this tier 1 tower is definitely going to be useful to sort of try and get into the Legion jungle and try and force the issue with resource control, but the split push from Night Raid is starting though. So.
Yeah. This is a big pain train definitely comes, as you put it. Definitely not going to go uphill, but at least get the secondary tower. You know, pending what Night Raid looks to do, but Night Raid, I think, making definitely the good call here. I mean, they're just going to easily exchange an outer tower themselves. And in fact, they're now out of outer towers to go for. They can start breaking into the base right here. So we got interesting decisions to be made by these two teams. I mean, for right now, Night Raid has the advantage. They got in there first.
They should push. They're in the middle lane and they're going against Token. They should definitely try and trade if they can, but I mean, Token is down in 20 seconds, but they should definitely try and trade this rack. They've got the preferable middle racks, and they probably most likely will lose the team fight because they're fighting against 6v5, so they should definitely trade. It's a great trade, but they're actually going to go all in, actually. I mean, try and go top as well.
Glaives, man. You could not underestimate these Glaives. So finally, man, they're actually going to be destroyed, but yeah, that's a very good decision by Night Raid, exactly. They, as you really put it out there, the Token, and so many things why they got to be happy. Sure, both teams get sets of racks in the end, but I think Night Raid definitely wins that exchange. When it's all said and done.
You're strong and head on Pebbles now as well, so a lot of factors there. It was a great trade from Night Raid, and honestly, I'm kind of surprised Dawn didn't get back. I know they didn't have TPs on the slot of their heroes, but again, that's just honestly a little bit bad positioning and bad team decision making there, because you have to have TPs. Yeah, you've got the token, but I mean, if you're fighting a mirror matchup, then they're going to push as quickly as you are. So really got to be sort of careful for that. And Night Raid really coming out ahead again. Actually, these trades. I mean, I know they're a new team, but their decision making in terms of team decisions are absolutely on point at the moment, and really showing that they almost have played the team fight meta, and they're definitely sort of.
And again, these are kind of one of these. They're a new team, sure, in the sense of what we know of them as far as being on the competitive scene and their experience as that team and this team name, but they're not really a new team in the sense that these are players that I'm sure they've played a lot together. These players, a lot of these players, other than Nightmares, really, we recognize most of these players as far as having history on the competitive scene and being on a team with one another at some point in time. Speaking of Absolute Legends, as you see 3 of these players tagged up, they were part of Absolute Legends. So that's something to take in mind as well. But yeah, it's in the sense that this is a new team, obviously, with Night Raid here and kind of coming back to the scene. But I got a question for you, Midi Maggot. What do you think of this tablet pickup here on Bubbles? I'm kidding.
All right. I was going to say, I think you asked me that twice, but I was like, really?
It's 3 times the charm? Oh, boy. Yeah, sometimes.
I was going to answer it, I would have done it.
I know! You were actually about to answer it, and I would have felt bad if I let you do that. Torture's going to get caught here. Okay, well, he's kind of flying around all over the place. Jeez. He's being abused every which way. A lot of tablets coming out. Off to the side, too. Rhapsody gets picked off. So there's the couple support play. Here comes Kraken. He wants revenge. So to their Silvers right on top, and they just disintegrate. Bubbles and Pebbles. It's like they weren't even there from the beginning. Big Tempest on them, though. Moon Finale coming out. They get the Illusions kill, but it's just the Illusions. Down goes Tempest. Moon Queen versus Soul Stealer and Kraken. Who's going to come out on top? Moon Queen on the run. You can guarantee it's going to be the Hellborn team. The auto attacks. The Demon Hand. And another quad kill for Probusk. Oh, man.
Honestly, I don't know what's going on with these team fights. Like on paper, Absolute Night Raid should be winning these matchups. They've got Strong and Head and Geomont's main on Moon Queen. They've got the farm on Moon Queen. You can get out of Keeper ultimate, but again and again, Soul Stealer just absolutely dominate these team fights. He's now 9-1-2, and you saw the potential of Soul Burst there, and not even that, just the raw damage he's dishing out. And my God, Proboss, man, he's on fire, man. It's nearly 750 GPM. Just somebody stop him.
This is definitely turning into being one of the better carry performances we've seen so far in Haunter Season 3 throughout a cycle. I mean, I know there's still even more to come, but yeah, he is definitely making a big impact for this team. And again, it's like I always feel a little uneasy saying that at times, because at the same time, I mean, Dawn, sure, they deserve team credit, and it's ultimately you win as a team, but I mean, every team's going to have their star stand-up players. There's no doubt of that. Even
That's
State
true.
Green had so many games where Limp would be their carry in the end,
Yep.
or Jesse would obviously do his big play. So in this case, it's safe to say ProBusk has been that player throughout Cycle 4. And 740 goal per minute on his Soul Stealer now. He's risen to the top hero damage in the game, not surprising there. Really with just a couple of soul bursts, but I mean, as you pointed out too, I mean, his auto attack damage, his right clicks, he's now hitting for 321 and doing it pretty damn fast at this time, as you can see.
And with the -5 armor from Dread as well, like, it's doing so much more work than just a normal, obviously 330 auto attack would do. And he's picked up the Wingbow now as well, so I mean, he's got the Shrunken Head. So I mean, you saw how long the Shrunken Head was lasting as well. Like, they had the Great Tim's Ultimate, but it was just a little bit too late because the Shrunken Head was still online. And I just don't know how Night Raid are actually going to try and defend this, honestly. They don't have, obviously... I mean, they are fighting 5v5, so there's no token picked up on Dawn, but still, I mean, the last couple of team fights have been all Dawn's way, and I mean, it's looking to be, a three-team wipe again.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the fact that this is still such an even game in overall stats, it really does tell you something. That yes, Soul Stealer, his GPM's up there and he's doing crazy, but overall, this is definitely still once again a game. In fact, Shrunken not going to be popped there by Misery. He gets a combo on it, both back into the background. Here comes the Soul Burst. No, give me the Force goes out. There's a Soul Burst. No kills just yet. Protective Melody used, mitigating some damage in the background. Torture does get picked off. Moon Queen and Pebbles are dead though, so it looks like Dawn might actually be breaking through right here. Buyback on Moon Queen. None on Pebbles for the time being. He does have them, but not enough gold, of course. And now that Melee Rax in the middle lane is exposed. You see Moon Queen, she's standing her ground once again, but doesn't want to go all out, obviously. This is a very dangerous spot to be in. She doesn't have her Moon Finale. She does have a Shrunken Head if she gets caught out. But Soul Stealer, he can definitely burst you down pretty quickly, simply with those auto attacks even. So the Melee Rax, it looks like, wow, he's missing a lot right there, actually. Finally going to kill them. And will run away in the end. So they got what they came for, and I'm sure they are going to fall back. Kongor is up. I wouldn't be surprised to see at least some regen and then go for a Kongor kill.
I mean, again, the team fight potential on Dawn was great, but I mean, I have to give a massive shout out to Iceland Go-Go. They actually tableted Pebbles just at the start of the team fight. Pebbles got completely out of position. He instantly popped the Shrunken Head, but he just put a Kraken ultimate on top of his head, and then the team fight started from there. So great play count from Iceland Go-Go. Just having that initiative to really sort of use the tablet in an offensive sort of way against the enemy team. So great play count from the Torturer there in that respect. And when you start a team fight, sort of a little bit sort of started and a little bit sort of stumbled, when you have to force, pop your Shrunken Head, you're always going to be on the back foot of the team fight because you're not controlling the team fight. It was all in Dawn's favour there, and you had the Keeper of the Forest ultimate and the Kraken ultimate, and Night Raid, they just weren't ready for it. So I mean, definitely again, props to Torturer there with the tablet for this.
Yeah. Look at this though. Night Raid actually going for a steal on a Kongor, and I think they might get it. I mean, if they commit to this, I don't know if Dawn is actually really aware that this is going on. There is no vision in the Kongor pit. So
Keep minions, spot them.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, they're going to be spotted now. Now it just got really interesting. Soul Stealer does have a Soul Burst ready to go. In fact, every ulti cooldown pretty much going to be up here on either side. So yeah, they're going to have to retreat. And almost it's like a bad thing that they got. It's a low Kraken. He misses a charge. There's the Shrunken Head though on a Moon Queen, so they do force that. Pebbles goes in further. They really want this kill on a Kraken. Can they actually get a protective Melody? It's going to be the background, not really mitigating a whole lot. There's the root though coming out, and Moon Queen is locked down. Moon Queen going to end up falling in the end. She just simply couldn't survive the auto attack damage too much. 10th ultimate going to be happening, but it's not going to matter. The damage follow-up not even close to enough. He basically used it because he had a chance to, but by that time, the damage was dead. There's a GG.
Wow.
And just like that, game is over. Dawn takes it, and they're up 1-0. I mean, yeah, you really just got to see the teamwork overall. Ultimately, just pretty impressive by Dawn. But, yeah, Soul Stealer, his right clicks were just becoming too much on top of that Soul Burst potential that he had.
Yeah, so. And, I mean, Moon Queen was getting a lot of fun, but it just wasn't enough compared to the Soul Stealer. And again, you're seeing the use of Kraken compared to Pebbles. I mean, some of the initiation from Pebbles were a little bit better, but the superior element on Kraken, again, showing its worth. I mean, you saw what it did. I mean, they got a great initiation on Kraken. He got very, very low. He popped the Shrunken Head and then obviously used the release of Kraken. And from there, the team fight was just